Hello and welcome back to the Wicket Train podcast. Today we're in a different setup, but I'm your host Levi. Thank you for joining me today. We are recording from a completely different setup, as you can see in the video. But enough of that. Today on this podcast we'll be recapping the week of AFL footy. We'll probably do this once a week on a Monday as well, so stay tuned for that in between our group sessions. But enough of that. Let's get started with the round of footy. The round of upsets this week with the Eagles getting the win over the Tigers. Look, from the Tigers' standpoint, I think to lose to the Eagles is a bit upsetting, especially with their current form they're in. From the Eagles, though, great signs. Harley Reid is looking like the number one pick he should be. With Elliot Yeo finding form again, I think it's all signs positive for the Eagles. But the Tigers are just injury strung at the moment. I think Jaden Hunt or Jaden Short went down with another injury. And you're already down a few big outs. It just doesn't help. Martin came back into the side, kicked a few. Shea Bolton's looking on fire. He's kicking bags each week, which is really positive stuff. But yeah, I think to be the only team to go down to the Western Eagles is probably a bit tough. But they are turning a corner, and I think Harley Reid is the pick for the future. You just gotta hope he stays in the Eagles camp. I think you can't have a repeat of Jason Horne-Francis from a couple of years ago, where he big number one pick, lower end club, went to North, and then wanted to leave. I think if he can keep Harley Reid, Eagles are going to be in a better spot than if they let him go. But yeah, I think Eagles coaching staff's getting ahead, but Tigers really got to find something. I think to go down by like a decent amount to the Eagles at West Coast, it just shows that they're not ready for finals footy, and the Tigers dynasty is over. I will come out and say that the Tigers dynasty is in shambles, and they got to fix that. Um, Meanwhile, on the other end of the bottom of the ladder, Hawks and North are looking clueless. I think both coaches don't know where the team is going, especially like Sam Mitchell's come out and just didn't know, like, don't know what's going on. Alex Clarkson was seen laughing pre-game about the Geelong game on commentary box, which was quite interesting. And I think that they're just both two clubs that just don't have a strong future at the moment. The picks are there, the players are there. You got like Jack Inniban comes across and he's playing decent footy, still not winning any free kicks, which is absurd. Yes, you can argue the fact that he bought that on himself, but I still feel like if the free kicks are there, like especially at that Geelong game, he had about a lot of free kicks. I don't know how many in the end, but he had a lot of free kicks that should have gone his way. But obviously due to recent history, he didn't get them. But North, I think McKercher's looking great as a rookie. Davies, Luke Davies-Uniacke's being a bit tagged over late. He's not really finding footy as normal, but it's still like, I don't know. There's still like the top end talent of North. It's just not performing, and then their rookies, you still got to give them about 3 or 4 years for their rookies to start playing some good footy, I think. So yeah, it's just a wait and see. I think the big idea though with North, with Clarkson coming back, has just not hit like he did at Hawks. I know it's still only 2 years, but for Clarkson to go down the suspension early in the year in a preseason game, I think it's a bit rough at the moment, especially way they're looking. They're still winless at the moment and are shaping that way, and there's no footy to be like. There's no good footy to be shown with North. I think they did show signs in that first quarter against Geelong, especially like Larky's kicking a lot of goals. The Smalls are doing great work, but it's just you just know what's going to happen from North, and they just can't sustain good footy for 4 quarters, and it's just a sad sight to watch. Hawks hold on to games, they can't win them, and they play really bad footy. I think the Pies game, you should be getting. I, it is only like 6 points in the end or whatever it was, but you got to be trying to put those games away if you are trying to rebuild. The Geelong game, they had a lead. They kept fighting for a lead, kept changing hands, but it couldn't get over. And I think on the weekend going down to Gold Coast by the amount they did, it's a big loss for the Hawthorn Footy Club. I think if they were able to beat Gold Coast or get close again, then you got more to it. But to go down to Gold Coast, who are not playing the greatest footy at the moment, like they're playing alright footy, it's just not top 8 sort of footy, I think hurts the Hawks. So yeah, they got to really look what they're doing. I think like with no like big ruck either, like, no big mid. Like Newcomb's playing good. Sisley's not having the year he should be. Sisley's underperforming. Like yeah, it's just not. There's no big forward either for the Hawks. Like there's no like standouts and kick a bag of goals each week. Like they did try being Ginnivan in, but being a small forward, you either get a really good game or a really bad game from him. And yeah, there's no ruck. I think for Hawks, which is hurting them, and Sisley being their main back isn't performing to how he should be. It just hurts again. But back with list, the Dogs going down to Essendon on the weekend. Credit to Essendon, they are playing a big brand of footy. I think Essendon are really bounced with Brad Scott, especially over the last year and a half. They're actually playing a footy that their fans can be proud of. And yeah, their loss to Port was massive, and it did question if the Essendon edge was still there. And I think them beating the Bulldogs, the Essendon edge is still there. Is it finals footy? I'd say so. I do see Essendon playing in the top 8, and I do see them getting the win over the Western Bulls is in a final to break that streak of 7,000 how many days. I think everyone's playing well. Stringer's kicking a few goals. Darcy Parish is back in the side, fit from injury. McGrath, Merritt. The bringing of Goldstein just adds to their ruck. It will be interesting to see how the rest of the season plays with Goldstein and Draper, as they are playing Draper as a big forward, which he is but isn't. Like he's not like good enough. But I think them bringing in Gresham, not Harry, Ben Mackay, like it's just adding, and like there's some really big ins, and I think Essendon going in the right direction. I know Brad Scott. There's a lot of injuries in that team, and Brad Scott did come out and say, look, we're not fit enough, we're not good enough. So they put in a hard yard, and their body just couldn't keep up with it. But I think they're going in the right direction as a club, which is positive for the AFL as well. Like Essendon, who are like historically the best team, well, one of the best teams, to come out and get back to a level where after like the drug scandals and all that, where their fans can sit back and go, "This is good footy," I think is positive. But it's just more the Dogs at the moment in that game. I think their list is in shambles. You got Jack McRae, who was the best player 2 years ago, one of the best ball winners. You got Bontempelli, Liberatore. Like that's a big midfield. And the fact that McRae is sitting a sub role on the bench or playing VFL is absurd to me. I don't think he'll be at the Bulldogs much longer. Where he goes, it'll be interesting. Bailey Smith as well, who's out with an ACL. I don't think he'll be at the Dogs too much longer. So it's just there's a lot of speculation on this list, especially after the last game against Essendon, where they dropped Caleb Daniel, which is just crazy to me how you drop Caleb Daniel, who was playing great footy, by the way. Like, he's not playing bad footy, and he's one of your best backs and or half forwards. Like, he's a good player. I don't know. So Bailey Dale's as a sub, by the way. Like, that's just absurd. Like, I know Luke Beveridge is trying to build for the future with the rookies and giving them a go because they've been performing like Sanders. But he even dragged Sanders off. Like, he's dragged Sanders off the last 3 weeks at like 3/4 time, which is just weird if you're trying to build a future around rookies. Would you not keep him playing? That's just where I'm at. But I think with your list, Beveridge should be pushing for a finals. Bont, Liberatore, McRae, Dale, Rory Lobb's playing VFL. Like that's a good list, and I don't understand why he's not using it to the full potential. Whether it's him, whether it's just list management. I think they're really missing a mark. Like Norton is like that's a top that's probably top 6 team, I reckon. Like they could be playing top 6 in finals, making prelims if they're good enough. But I think they're just missing marks on the list management sort of thing, and I just don't think they're picking their best team each week. I think they're picking a team for the future, which is all said and well, but they've got the players to push for finals, and I think you got to do that way so you can. Otherwise, you miss the chance, and then you're looking to rebuild, and it's harder to rebuild with the experience gone. So I think McRae will go. Bailey Smith will probably go. The Bont will stay, but it's a bad list at the moment from the Western Bulldogs, and that's got to get fixed ASAP. To the top end of the ladder, though, we do have the Giants and Cats staying undefeated through the best part of these games. The Giants beating St Kilda by a point, and Geelong obviously beating North pretty easily. Um, if you are not saying Cats can't play a granny this year, you're probably a bit delusional at this stage. I think with their list, it's looking good now. The rookies are playing well. Oliver Dempsey's kicking goals. Jai Clark's found his feet in that midfield, and they've brought in a heap of like other rookies. So really, out of that midfield, like Patrick Dangerfield's coming back in this week, and you tell me you're winning games with Dangerfield being out. I know he's past his prime, but he's still one of the greatest players. Tom Hawkins was out on the weekend. He comes in, he's going to kick a bunch of goals. Jeremy Cameron kicked a bunch of goals. He's playing great footy. Ryan Myers, now this is a player. He is statistically at the moment the best kick in the comp, going inside 50, and Geelong are using him and finding ways to use him, which is just amazing to watch. I think he is that. His kicking style is obviously not the most traditional kicking style, but he's finding ways to make it work, and he is the best inside 50 kick in the comp. And this is why Geelong are winning games. When you've got Cameron, Hawkins, Dempsey, Henry, Close, like good forward line, and to be able to get the ball delivered in just makes it 10 times easier for those forwards to win contests. And I think that's what Geelong's doing. Shai Clarkson, great ball user. Tanner Bruin, another great ball user. They're just stacking their midfield with great ball users, and I think it's really helping them. And the Geelong backs is as good as ever. Tom Stewart's just dominating. Zach Tui, like it's just a normal. This is a Geelong team in the last 10 years, just with new faces. And as a Geelong supporter, it's good to see. And I reckon, yeah, they should be pushing for finals footy and obviously another premiership. How many years are left in Geelong? I don't know. I think with Dangerfield's being close to retiring, keeps getting injured. Hawkins has to be close. You got Duncan's probably getting there. Cameron's probably get like a few years now. So don't know how long, but it's good to see we're like still stacking it with rookies to keep sort of the age demographic from being a retirement home down a little bit. And the Giants as well. I think Sam Taylor is the best one-on-one defender in the comp. Going into the weekend, he had won 15 out of 15 one-on-one mark contests, which is just absurd. Alex Rance like, I'd say. And he'd be on everyone's list at the moment, but I think he's staying at Giants. Cornelius playing great footy. Tom Green is Brownlow favourite by a star. Like, it's not even close at this stage with Tom Green. Like, he is generally one of the best midfielders at the moment. Toby Green's the captain, is just still leading from the front. It's good footy to see from the Giants, I think, because being that younger team in the comp, that grand final loss by 80 points, people still write them off. But I think last year, going to the prelims, going against Collingwood, if they bet Collingwood, they would have won that flag, I reckon. But again, Collingwood just stacked the max. So I think it's really positive from Giants. I think everyone's playing a good band of footy, and they're starting to find their feet in this comp. And I think it's evident that we could see a Giants 5 years of where they push for finals for the next 5 years, which will be really positive to see. And I think it'll be good for the comp. Um, if they can sustain it, they can sustain it. But Kieran Briggs is one of the better rucks in the comp. I think it's just good for the future. And another game over the weekend, Adelaide getting up against the undefeated Blues. I think that's probably one of the biggest wins for Adelaide well, not this year, but last year in general. Being on 4, their coach on the brink of getting the sack, I think it's really positive to come out and beat Carlton like they did. And especially with Carlton, like they had everyone back. Chera, Walsh was back, Cripps looked good. Tom De Koning playing ruck, dominating. Harry Mackay, Charlie Kerner. I think that's like it's still a star-studded team, and I think for the Crows to come in and be able to win, like Rankin's looking amazing. Joshua Shelley, Tex Walker kicked 4. Dawson, Laird using the ball well. Matt Crouch is having an amazing year. Too bad he's out for 1 week. I think they were on 4, but they are building, and it's kind of like this turn of the corner beating the Blues, I reckon. I don't know who they're playing this week, but I think they can build on that and be able to take it into maybe September, maybe round 13, something like that. And I feel like they'll turn that on 4 rounds. Now they're 1-4. I reckon they can probably go 8-4. Like they probably could do something like that, or 8-5, something like that. Um, but yeah, they're turning around. They're actually, not even that bad of an outfit. I think they're just still building. Like I mean, the coach at the moment, being a newer coach into the system, like the 2-year contract he just signed, and I think once they get that sorted, they'll be a top 8 team this year. Not like any higher than probably 6, but like 7 to 12. They should make the 8 and play September, I think. But yeah, it's just good footy. But the issue is over the West. We did have West Coast win, but Fremantle is my worry. There's no positive energy coming out of Fremantle. Like this is back-to-back games now where they've held a lead and were unable to finish it off. I think they're up by 10 points with 5 minutes left. Like you probably should be converting that game. Like if you're up by 10, you just convert it, play slow footy, kick another goal, put it out of reach, sort of thing. And to go down really hurts. Especially with the list they've got. Caleb Sarong's on fire. Nat Five is back in playing well. Luke Jackson, Sean Darcy. I know Sean Darcy's injury prone, but it's just they've still got a decent list. And they're just not converting. I think whether it's a coaching staff thing, whether it's energy within the club, beg to differ. But yeah, Freo need to start converting, and probably soon. I think otherwise they just will find themselves the wrong side of the top 12. I see Fremantle. They could be finishing 15th at this rate, which is not what I want to be saying, but I reckon they could. But the first game of this round, Brisbane. A lot of talk about the Brisbane Lions preseason going to Vegas. How's that impacted the teams? Look, Brisbane will probably finals contenders. I reckon I had them as my top 4 for this year. To come out and be 0-4 and being like them and Collingwood being 0-4 or 0-3, whatever they were, is really, really scary signs. But to come to the MCG and put Melbourne away by 20 on, I think it was, is great for the Bulldogs, especially with their recent games at the MCG. I think they're like 4-40 at the MCG for wins and losses. It's something crazy like that. It's just they just can't win there, and to put Melbourne away was pretty good. And if Lockie Neal can return to Brownlow Neal, I mean, Dunkley's still playing great footy. Joe Danaher can find some form. Charlie Cameron, it's like they're not far off. I think it's just about once the Brisbane team starts snowballing wins, I think then it converts to positive footy, and they'll go on a heater, and especially like their record at the Gabba, where they don't lose the Gabba, or don't lose much at the Gabba, I think will help them. Um, and then come September, if you play them at the Gabba, you're kind of in a bad spot. That's a big game. So yeah, Brisbane just got to get in that role, and I reckon they'll be right. Melbourne, yeah, they're still playing good footy. I think there's no problems out of Melbourne. Gawn's playing well. Melbourne have the best recruiting system in the draft for the last 5 years, I reckon. And it's just showing this year with Howes and Windsor. I think they're really, really building. Cozzy Pickett just needs to stop getting suspended, and I think they'll be right. Like Clayton Oliver obviously had an interrupted preseason. Petrarca came out. He's shooting the lights out. There's Viney's playing well as well. Like I think there's still no worry in the Melbourne Footy Club, and I still think there would never be a worry in the Melbourne Footy Club. I think they're still not building. They're just still playing the brand of footy we expect from Melbourne for the last 4 years, and it's only going to get better with these younger picks coming through. And like House is already a top 5 rookie. I think he's just great off halfback or mid. It's just good to watch. Clint Oliver, once he starts finding footy, getting back into it after the interrupted season, that's dangerous. Especially with him, track, Vardy, that's a dangerous midfield. Gone. Like that's a big ask for any team to come across. Um, but that will do me. I know it was probably a bit rushed. But that is my recap of this week's round. If you enjoyed this sort of thing, let me know. I will keep doing it. Thank you very much for listening in to my review, and we'll see you all next time for it.